Hello, Cascadia. I'm between you and lunch, so I hope this will be worth it. No pressure there. Once upon a time, there was a developer who wanted a call to action to show up on their homepage. Their LLM cogitated, and boom, they rendered a button. The next day, a button was needed at the bottom of a form. Then again, LLM complied and gave them a button. And so on. And it kept on going until Friday. This thing needed to pop on the marketing page, and there you had it, another button. I'm Kaelig Deloumeau. I've been working on design systems and front-end platforms for the past 15 years. And this kind of different button issue is not something new. We've seen it many, many times, even pre-AI, where we had the design intent being translated by developers into something that did not look exactly the same in production. And the kind of stuff that I've seen a lot is those buttons like, look kind of just good enough, kind of fits the brand, but not quite. And so it could be a padding, it could be the space between an icon and the text, it could be the text size, it could be maybe a missing state, maybe missing dark mode support. And so the way we've solved it is that we took all of our component variants, we put them into, in this case, a button component, and every time we had a new variant, we just inserted it right there. Nice and easy. Your LLMs have this amazing toolbox that they can use and reuse, and all you have to do is to tell your agents, make sure to use the design system. Simple. No mistakes. But a design system can't do everything, Jonathan told us yesterday. And I agree, this can get you maybe 80% of the way, but there's always use cases that your design system cannot satisfy. And so the way we go about it is, in fact, another example that Jonathan gave us yesterday is the example of a drop-down. And a pretty simple drop-down on the left-hand side where you can select an item, you can clear the selection, there's dark mode support. That's what is in your design system. That's what your design system should support. It's the most common use case. Now, if you need a very complex system or drop-down where there is component selection, lazy loading, users can add items inline, that's not something your design system should necessarily bring to the table. And there was another talk about how if your components do everything, there's a lot of cost that comes with it in terms of maintenance and performance. And in fact, two developers might ask for exactly the same thing. Hey, LLM, let users assign reviewers to a PR, and get vastly different results. So, why do they get different results? Because there's a lot of considerations that come into building a design system and describing your design language. Could be the focus ring, what's its width, color, spacing with the field, the field's border, and especially when it's hovered or focused. And we keep going with the background of the menu, and so on. And every design is composed of many, many decisions. So we've got all of these apps, and we need to cover a lot of ground. We've got our web apps, marketing, iOS, Android. We've got our design tools, Figma, Sketch, Penpot, etc. And we've got AI agents. They all need to speak a different language to consume your design system and your design decisions. So the first step is to understand how we're going to store these design decisions. And we've got all of them laid out here. I mean, that's just a subset here in this slide, but we're going to give them names. And so for the focus ring, we're going to call it color focus ring. And if we take a very, very simple example, that's the gap between an item and maybe a section here. It has a value. We want to be able to explain to agents and to other humans how to use that value. Same thing with a color. Here we've got the background of an item when it's hovered. So we're going to store its value. and we're going to describe what it means and how to use it. And the bonus here is that that value can be swapped for when we have dark mode or when we are in a different brand situation. All right, back to our menu, complex menu. We've got our names. We've got values that can differ based on the mode or the brand. And we've got instructions. All right. Now, what if I want all of these apps and all of these languages to refer to a single source of truth so that they all look the same and follow my brand? Well, there's a name for that. It's called design tokens. Some of you may have heard of it. It was coined in 2014 by Gina Ann and John Levine at Salesforce. And the idea is that this is the single source of truth for naming and storing a design decision distributed so teams and agents can use it across design tools and coding languages. And I would add so that agents can also use them. And there's a specification for it. I announced the V1 of the specification at the end of 2025. And the way this looks is a JSON schema. So we store the name of the design decision. We give it a type, give it a description of how and when to use it, and give it a value. And that's that. There's a bit more to it, but the way a design token architecture would look like is that we would store all of these design decisions into JSON files, or if you want a fancy CMS around it, that's also what a lot of teams are doing. And then we have different tiers. So we could describe our design decisions for menus specifically or for cards, and you can go pretty broad with that. And you can start defining relationships between all of these. And now if you look at the menu, it would be possible to swap that value based on whether we're in light mode or dark mode. And so with those relationships, we're able to manage a lot of design decisions across multiple brands, multiple modes. And the good news is there's a ton of tooling that supports this specification. So the design token spec is now in Figma. Sketch just wrote to me this morning saying that they support it from just a few weeks ago. Penpot is a open source design tools that supports it as well from the get-go. They were a huge supporter. And then at the bottom of this slide, there's a lot of other tools that allow with you to do import, export, management, governance, etc. So how do we teach agents to follow these brand guidelines? Well, if we go back to our diagram here, and we look at AI agents at the bottom, it's possible to create skills that describe your design decisions. It's also possible to create MCPs, plugins to bundle those, hooks to make sure that at certain times of the agentic lifecycle, you've got verifications that those tokens actually exist. You can build CLIs. And if you want to get very fancy, you can even train a model on your design system and your design tokens. So in this kind of fantasized version of the development lifecycle and the agentic loop, we've got a few spots where during planning, we want the agents to be able to find tokens so that they can plan accordingly and make sure to design things in a way telling your coding agents to do things in the right way. Verification, there's going to be some linting. There's going to be a little bit more of a kind of judge of your design system that's going to be entering in play here. And then at the PR level, you also typically want that last verification and so on. It just keeps that feedback loop going. And the good news is all you have to do is run npx design tokens AI, and it sets up your entire development environment, and that is not at all how it works. In fact, a lot of teams are right now investing a lot of money into trying to figure out how they're going to get agents to build their applications that follow their brand guidelines. And it's tough. And I was on one of those teams until recently, and it's not easy. It takes a lot of effort. So the realization is there's no too little tooling that helps with that right now out of the box. And my call to action to you is to join the fight against UI Slop and build cool tools and share them on the Design Tokens W3C community groups page at designtokens.org. And with that, come to speak to me after this. And I have stickers. And enjoy your lunch. Thank you very much.